A common question that I get in my practice is why now? Why is this happening now? Why am I so triggered now? Why do the little things set me off now? What's so important about now that has not existed the rest of my life? Great question. Let's talk about it. Hey, my name is Dr. McCleary, and I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and Navy veteran. And my channel is dedicated to educating veterans, service members, and their families about mental health. So if that's you, consider subscribing. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 quick answers on why maybe you are starting to experience some mental health symptoms such as high anxiety or low mood or being more triggered easily or maybe even getting angry more easily, having that short fuse. And we're starting right now. I'll hear veterans say sometimes, well, I've been on 3 combat deployments to Iraq, but I was watching a Christmas movie the other day and just started bawling. What the hell is going on with me, Doc? Well, I'll tell you what might be going on. It might be that you are actually at the edge, or that you're constantly at the edge, but you're so used to it, it actually doesn't seem that way. The first reason is actually you were already upset before this time. And what I mean by that is often people have different baselines of the stress in their life. Often people have different places where they start their day at. Most of us, if we're on a scale from 0 to 10, 0 being that we are floating on air when we wake up in the morning, which most of us are not, and 10 being the most stressed that we've ever been. Most of us fall somewhere in between. Now, why this is important to take note of is we can get used to being just about anywhere on this scale. Some people wake up in the morning at an 8, which for most people is probably pretty high. But if you're used to being at the 8, well, guess what? That's normal for you. If you're used to being at a 9, well, guess what? That's normal for you. And so you just go on with your day. Here's the thing. When we are close to the edge, even if we don't recognize it, there are some signs that we're close to the edge. And some of those signs are being easily triggered by things. Being easily kind of pushed over the edge. Small things that are setting us off. Small things that are causing us to become tearful. And this is a way that you can actually tell if you're actually getting closer to the edge than you actually want to be. The second reason I want to bring up regarding, well, why now, is maybe now you actually have time to think about a particular situation that might have been problematic the whole time. And what I mean by this is sometimes difficult times or difficult experiences or traumas happen in our life. But what we do is we very actively try to avoid that. We try to avoid thinking about it, thinking about other things that might trigger it, being around certain people or situations, or even sounds that might trigger you to think about those type of things. And what we can do and what we can get very good at is filling up our life with stuff to get busy so we don't have to think about things. Now, here's the trap with that. A lot of times, eventually life will cause us to slow down. Whether that is retiring, whether that is getting an injury and we literally have to sit down, whether that's our kids maybe graduating from high school and leaving the house and now we don't have them to distract us from that internal dialogue that's probably been going on the whole time. So a lot of times it's not just things are coming out of nowhere. A lot of times it's now we actually have time to think about it. And that's actually what's stressful, having to actually look at it. It's also, on an optimistic standpoint, how we end up getting over it and healing from whatever that situation is. My last reasoning for why now is a little bit different than the first two reasons. My last reason for a why now, why the anxiety now, why the depression now, why the fear now, is actually your life expectations and perspectives might have shifted. And they might have shifted even with you not recognizing that they shifted. The biggest one for me personally here is when I had kids. When I had kids, I didn't realize how it was going to change my life. Now, I realized that I was going to have to pay for things and I was going to have to take care of somebody else. I didn't realize how it was going to change my perspective on life, though. I didn't realize how it was going to change my goals in life that I thought were etched in stone. So, when we have a perspective change, when we live life for long enough to where we've had multiple experiences and we start to look at things differently, well, now we can experience the same thing that maybe we've experienced before. But now we look at it a lot differently. Now we look at it with a different lens. And now that same situation that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago wouldn't have bothered us at all really bothers us. Example, I used to never have a whole lot of anxiety with going on deployment. I even went on one deployment and didn't really tell anybody about it. Shh, don't tell my mom about that. But now, with kids, with a wife, I can imagine going on deployment again. I can imagine being separated from my family and them worrying about me and me worrying about them for that long of a time. Now, maybe I could do it if that was my life now. It's not, so I don't have to worry about it as much anymore. But you can see how same exact situation can happen at a different time in life, and they can be viewed totally differently. That's a reason why some things just feel different to us nowadays. Also, something to think about. When you ask why now, most likely there's a good reason why now. If this video was helpful for you, please like it or consider subscribing to my channel if you want to learn more about PTSD and mental health. But more important than that, if this video was helpful for you, then that means it can probably be helpful for another veteran or another service member or another friend or family member of a veteran. So I ask that you share it with them. Because at the end of the day, that's really what all this is about. One veteran trying to help another.